and we're both workaholics. This one here is in meetings all day and pretty much into the night. And I mean, I have a few
but
meetings
we're
too.
actively, I mean, these are choices that we're discovering we have control over. And, we both have problems with saying no. And one of the things that I've realized over the last couple of years is that I've said yes to everything primarily because I'm always afraid that it's like the last chance for whatever it is, the last this, the last that. And one of the realizations that I've had is that we as humans have a very hard time imagining something more for the future. We can fantasize, but the fear is we'll have less. And so whenever I say no, I'm afraid I'll never have any other opportunity, as opposed to thinking, oh, this other thing might happen that I've never ever even considered, and I have to have more faith that those are the possibilities for the future than thinking from a place of scarcity and thinking more from a place of abundance, which is a real practice to try to do regularly.
Yes, I would say that we're both trying to figure out what that looks like. I also am really challenged with saying no. And as a writer, for many years, you struggle to get anyone to read your work or to maybe compensate you a little bit. And so you do work from a place of scarcity because there is a scarcity until there isn't. And so I do say yes to, well, not anymore, but increasingly I have started to try and have boundaries. But you say yes to a lot of things, and then you have to find a way to do all of those things, and then maybe spend some time with other people other than yourself. And so I always have to now ask myself, when a new project comes along, are they going to pay my rate, which is the number one question. And if the answer is no, then it's a non-starter. And do I actually want to do it? Am I going to learn from this thing? Do I have something that no one else can bring to the table for this project? And so I've started to develop some questions, and I started doing this after I met the artist Jordan Castile, who has a little note in her studio with like 5 questions she asks herself before she agrees to do any project. And I have found that literally asking myself very specific questions and answering them honestly has helped me to make better decisions about what I'm actually doing with my time.
What are some of those questions?
Well, can they pay my rate? A lot of times people forget I do a lot of public-facing, I hate to say the phrase, public intellectual feminist work, and I'm very proud of the work I do, but it's also a job. And a lot of times people assume that because you love what you do and you are deeply invested in it regardless, that you are willing to work for nothing, or for, as they call it, exposure. I'm plenty exposed. I'm good. And so, especially at 48, I'm turning 48 tomorrow, and thank you. I don't need any more exposure. I would like to be underexposed, thank you. And also, do I want to do it? Will it make me happy? Because I actually love writing. It's not something that I do in a miserable way, even though it sometimes feels miserable these days. And so I want to do things that are going to make me happy. And even though I write about depressing subjects, I want to feel like I'm contributing to the conversation in ways that other people perhaps can't, because we all have our lanes. What about you? How do you decide what to say yes to?
Well, actually, I do want to add something that I think was super helpful for me, that I only learned about a couple of years ago, that I think will be helpful to everyone in the audience. Because I think, with you can say no, and then people are not going to get Roxane gay. But not everybody is at a level yet where they're Roxane gay. And so people, if they say, this is my rate, and somebody doesn't want to pay it, then they may lose the opportunity to do something that, forget exposure, just might be good for their portfolio, or might be good for their book, or anything that will help to give them the next step in their career. And so I learned this from a cis white man who several years ago, I invited him to participate in a conference that I was curating. And there was a budget for each speaker. And I gave him the budget, and he came back to me and he said, "Do you think you can bump it up a little? Do you think you can give me a bit more?" I was like, "Well, I'll ask." And I went back to the conference organizers and I said, "So and so would like to know if there's a way that he can get a little bit more." And they carved out some more budget to give him, and I came back to him and I said, "Okay, we can do this. Will you do it?" And he said, "Yes, and let me tell you, I always do this. For every single budget that he's given for anything he does, he goes back to the organizers and says, 'Can you give me a little bit more? Could you bump it up a little bit?' And for every one that he does, 365, 52 weeks a year, he gets more. And therefore, when you put it all together, it actually comes out to be quite a bit." And I thought, I'm going to tell this to everybody I ever work with. Just ask for a bit more. They say no, you've reached the limit. But if they say yes, you're going to get more.